Life is not foolish. It does not make mistakes. It does not randomly reward or punish people without reason. Only humans deceive themselves into believing they are smarter than the system they live in. You lie a little. You manipulate a situation just enough to benefit yourself. You take shortcuts when no one is watching. And deep inside, you convince yourself of one dangerous thought. It's fine. No one knows. Nothing will happen. But what most people fail to understand is this. Life does not need witnesses. Every action you take, every intention, every decision is quietly recorded, not by other people, not by society, but by life itself. There is a balance that is always being maintained, even when you cannot see it. Cause and effect is not immediate. That is why people underestimate it. You can do something wrong today and still feel safe tomorrow. You can cheat, deceive, and walk away without consequences for a while. But when the consequences arrive, they do not come gently. They come precisely. They come completely. And they come in ways you never expect. There is no such thing as escaping what you create. If you plant dishonesty, you are not avoiding the outcome, you are delaying it. You are building a debt, and one day, whether you are ready or not, life will come to collect. This is not a warning meant to scare you. It is a law silent, consistent, and unbreakable. Understand it early, and you will live with peace. Ignore it, and you will learn the hard way. This story does not begin in a modern city filled with noise, ambition, and endless competition. It begins in a place much quieter, much simpler, a small village hidden deep within India. Life there moved slowly. People woke up with the sun and rested when the sky turned dark. There were no complicated systems, no contracts, no written guarantees. Trust was the foundation of everything. In that village, a person's word meant more than money. At the very center of this community stood a small grocery shop. It wasn't impressive. The wooden shelves were old, the counters slightly worn, and the space was modest. But it was important. It was where daily life passed through. Rice, flour, spices, oil, everything essential flowed through that shop. Every family depended on it. Every conversation eventually led back to it. And the man who owned it was named Govind. To the villagers, Govind was more than just a shopkeeper. He was someone they trusted without question. His family had been in the trading business for generations, and that history gave people a sense of security. Parents sent their children to his shop without hesitation. Customers often bought goods on credit, confident that everything would be fair. No one felt the need to check. No one felt the need to doubt. And that was exactly what made the situation dangerous. Because in a place built entirely on honesty, it only takes one person, just one, to quietly begin breaking it from within. And without anyone realizing it, that process had already begun. Govind was not an obvious villain. If you met him for the first time, there is a high chance you would trust him instantly. He dressed neatly, always in clean white clothes. His voice was calm, his tone friendly, and his smile welcoming. He knew how to make people feel comfortable. He knew how to appear honest, but appearances can be carefully constructed. Behind that gentle smile was a mind that never stopped calculating. Govind observed people closely. He understood their habits, their weaknesses, and most importantly, their trust. He knew that the villagers were simple, not foolish, but unguarded. They believed in goodness because that was how they lived. And Govind saw that not as something to respect, but something to use. He was intelligent, but his intelligence had taken a dishonest direction. Instead of building something meaningful, he used his understanding of people to slowly take advantage of them. At first, the actions were small, so small that even he could justify them. It's nothing, he told himself. No one will notice. And over time, those small actions became easier. The most dangerous kind of dishonesty is not loud or obvious. It is quiet, repeated, refined. Govind had spent years in trade. Deception was no longer something he did, it had become something he was. He no longer saw himself as a bad person. He saw himself as clever, and when a person begins to believe they are smarter than everyone else, smarter than life itself, that is when the story truly begins to fall apart. Govind did not wake up one day and decide to commit a large, obvious act of cheating. That would have been too risky, too visible. Instead, he chose a method far more effective and far more dangerous. He cheated little by little. Each time he measured rice, he reduced just a small amount. Not enough to be noticed, but enough to benefit him. When he sold flour, a few grams were always missing. When he poured oil, the bottle was never completely full. Each action was insignificant on its own, but repetition turned it into something much bigger. Govind understood human behavior. He knew that people rarely question small losses. If something feels minor, they ignore it. If something is consistent, they accept it. And so, he built his deception around that principle. Children came to buy groceries, unaware of measurements or fairness. Adults trusted him too much to double-check. Conversations, smiles, and friendly gestures distracted everyone from what was really happening. While his face showed kindness, his hands quietly adjusted the scale. It's just a little, he would think. No one is really losing. But what he failed to see was this. He was not just taking from others, he was changing himself. Every repeated act of dishonesty reshaped his character. Slowly, steadily, without resistance, guilt faded, awareness disappeared, and eventually, cheating no longer felt wrong. It felt normal. Even worse, it felt justified. Govind began to believe that he was simply playing the game better than everyone else, that life rewards those who are smart enough to bend the rules. But there is one rule no one can bend, and he was getting closer to it with every small act he thought didn't matter. The turning point did not arrive with drama or warning. It began with something simple, an ordinary exchange that had happened many times before. One day, a farmer came to Govind's shop carrying fresh butter. "Sir." It was part of a routine they had followed for years. The farmer would bring butter, and in return, he would take flour and other essentials. There was no written agreement, no measurements checked, just trust. And for the farmer, that trust had never been a question. But Govind was no longer the same man. As he held the butter in his hands, a thought appeared in his mind, uninvited but powerful. What if he is cheating me? There was no evidence, no reason to doubt. But suspicion does not come from truth. It comes from within. People who deceive others often begin to believe that everyone else is doing the same. Govind's own behavior had quietly shaped his perception of the world. Where there was once trust, there was now doubt. Where there was simplicity, there was now calculation. In that moment, two completely different realities existed side by side. The farmer stood there, calm and honest, continuing a routine built on years of trust. Govind stood behind the counter, smiling on the outside but questioning everything on the inside. And with that single thought, the balance shifted. The wheel of cause and effect had already begun to turn. Govind just didn't realize how close it was to completing its cycle. After the farmer left, Govind could not let the thought go. It stayed in his mind, growing stronger with every second. What if I've been fooled? Driven by suspicion, he decided to check the butter. Not out of fairness, but out of fear. He took a knife and cut into it carefully. At first, everything seemed normal. The texture was smooth, the color was consistent. But then, his knife hit something hard. He stopped. His heart began to race. In that instant, his mind rushed to a conclusion it was already prepared to believe. I knew it. I knew someone would try to cheat me. For a brief moment, he felt justified. But as he dug deeper and pulled the object out, that feeling disappeared completely. Because what he held in his hand was not a stone. It was not dirt. It was a metal weight. And not just any weight. It was his own. The same weight he had secretly altered. The same tool he had used, day after day, to cheat the very people who trusted him. Everything went silent. No one was there to accuse him. No one was there to expose him. And yet, in that moment, the truth was louder than any voice could ever be. Govind didn't need proof. He didn't need explanation. He understood completely. The system he thought he had outsmarted had just responded with perfect precision, not with anger, not with warning, but with undeniable clarity. As the realization settled in, a deeper truth began to unfold. No one had cheated him. The farmer had done nothing wrong. He had simply used the same weight that Govind had given him during previous exchanges. When measuring the butter, the farmer trusted that weight completely, just as he trusted Govind. In other words, the system had never been broken. It had only been reflecting Govind's own actions back to him. The scale he had manipulated had now returned to him, not as punishment from another person, but as a direct consequence of his own choices. Govind had spent years believing he was taking advantage of others, but in reality, he had been setting up his own outcome. Every small act, every hidden adjustment, every moment of dishonesty had quietly built toward this exact point, and now there was no way to deny it. Cause and effect had not only arrived, it had revealed itself completely. Govind's story leaves behind a lesson that is impossible to ignore. No act of deceit ever truly disappears. It does not fade, it does not vanish. It returns, sometimes slowly, sometimes unexpectedly, but always accurately. You may believe that you are getting away with something. You may feel clever, ahead of others, even in control. But life is not something you can outsmart. It does not rush, it does not forget. It simply waits and balances everything in the end. Honest people may struggle. They may face difficulties, delays, and moments of doubt, but they carry something powerful: peace. They sleep without fear. They live without looking over their shoulder. Those who choose deception live differently. Even when they succeed, there is tension. There is doubt. There is a quiet awareness that something is not right, and eventually, that awareness becomes reality, because cause and effect is never wrong. It is not emotional. It is not biased. It is simply exact. So the question is not whether it will happen. The question is when. And when it does, will you be ready to face what you created?